Hello, my loves. Welcome to the Fuck Trauma podcast with me, Candice Tamara. This is the podcast your inner child wishes they heard sooner. And my inner child feels so fulfilled sharing this message with you so you can have secure relationships with yourself and with others. So on today's episode, I'm actually really buzzing about today's episode. I have to say, it's one of those episodes that came to me in the middle of the night. Some of my best ideas do. They just flow through to me about what I want to speak about. And, I just want to say thank you to you guys because the episode I put out, episode 48, you guys have just been loving it, around transforming your relationships with the law of assumption. It's probably my highest listened to episode. So this just makes me feel so good because these are the things I really want to share with you because, it literally changes your life. It's incredible. So I'm so grateful to see that. And it just tells me that you guys are so ready for more. And I'm ready to share that with you. So today's episode, I was actually inspired by my lovely community. I got a DM like yesterday from a lovely lady who said that she had been doing my Stop Attracting Avoidance masterclass. She'd been doing the EFT tapping inside of it, and she'd been doing the visualization, the secure self visualization inside of it for a week. Prior to that, she was going for a breakup. And then in that week, she started to feel secure in herself and started to feel, really good within herself. And she was dating somebody that she felt was being inconsistent. And she simply just sent them a message that was just like, inconsistency is just not going to work for me. And it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible because in that moment, she's literally choosing herself. And you can tell the difference because she's not trying to change the person. She didn't send a long monologue about, I feel in the beginning it was really consistent and now it's not consistent. And has something changed? Is something okay? I need consistency. And if you're like, there was no over explaining. And this is the difference because when you do the work, you do the tapping, you change your self concept, which is what my programs teach you, then you feel that security inside of yourself and you naturally embody that security. So she was naturally, within 1 week, may I add, she was naturally choosing herself. And within that, she has literally leveled herself up to the state and the self-concept of, I am somebody that's chosen, just by choosing herself. And when she does that, everything will change for her. Like I responded and I said, like, the people that are for you are on their way to you, because by doing that, you are literally in the state of, I am chosen. I choose me, and therefore everybody has to reflect that back to you. They will have to reflect that back to you. She will get partners that will be reflecting that back to her more now. I'm completely celebrating her. It's incredible. She did the absolute right thing, and that is the difference that is the thing when you do that work. You're reprogramming with the EFT and the visualization. You're reprogramming your whole body and your whole mind to feel safe being somebody that can choose themselves and is chosen, that knows that they're worthy and they're deserving of these relationships and consistency. And, all that was happening before is that she was getting inconsistency because she was in the state of somebody that didn't deserve consistency, or that thought they had to work hard for it, or that they were attracting avoidance. So naturally avoidance or inconsistency, it was all because of that. And within doing that work for a week and then making that decision to embody that, she literally wasn't trying to change them. She just changed herself and was like, no, this is not going to work for me. I am so excited to see what comes from that because that level in itself is incredible. Now, why I wanted to talk more about this is because I wanted to go a little bit deeper with this. So she did absolutely everything right. She chose herself. Wonderful. That will get reflected back to her. Now, there's the other layer of this that I want to share with you and help you to see is that the reason she was experiencing inconsistency is because she is aware of the inconsistency. When we have an anxious attachment style, we are naturally in the state and we have assumptions and beliefs that are naturally more negative. And because of that, we're more hyper vigilant to things. So when somebody takes a little bit longer to respond, we, instead of it just being like, oh, they're taking a bit longer to respond, or they haven't texted me today, which could totally be fine, we will see it as, they're not as interested, or they're pulling away, or they're with someone else, or we'll attach a meaning and a story to it. That is not true, because we give the meaning. And if you haven't listened to episode 48 already, you need to go and listen to that, because it will give you the context to this. Everything is neutral. We give it the meaning. Now, of course it's natural. She's experienced this up until this now. She has these beliefs, or anybody, that inconsistency is natural, that you're going to think that that's what's happening and be hypervigilant to that place. But I want you to hear one thing. Your attention is your currency. Your attention is your currency. So whatever you are aware of, you are going to get more of. So what happens is, naturally, because you've experienced that in the past and you'll have these subconscious beliefs, you might naturally start to assume they're being inconsistent, which it looks like they are in your reality, right? But within looking for that and noticing that and telling that story and looking at your phone and going, oh, they're being inconsistent, no message today, you are literally keeping that story alive. And this is the deeper work that I want to show you, is how to change it. And some of you might not be ready to fully embrace this, and that's totally fine. But I trust if you're here, then your higher self is ready for you to hear this and really realize your power. And so just bear with me and listen with open ears, open heart, and just see. So your awareness is currency. So you can sit in the state of, but they are inconsistent, that's fine. You can do what she did and just choose herself, that's fine. But you can also change the story. And when you do that, you will get something different. So if this was a client of mine, for instance, and I was coaching them and they said to me, like, this person is being inconsistent, I would say that is because you are aware of them being inconsistent. So you need to start telling the story that they are now consistent. They can't stop texting you. Every time you look at your phone, you want to be like, wow, another text from them. They are so obsessed with me. And I know what you're thinking, like, but that's not real. That's not true. And it is what you call delusional. Yes, but it's also not, because if you understand how things are working and that the 3D reality and people are just mirroring your assumptions, and it's just a mirror to your assumptions, that means for 3D and your experiences and people are taking your cues from you. They are taking it from you. So therefore, you are the one that goes first. So if you started to change your awareness to something else, like, oh, they're always texting me, they're obsessed with me, they can't get enough of me. If you start to tell that story, you will start to experience that, because it is your subconscious mind that is giving you your reality. It's creating your experiences. Now, if you keep telling it, they're inconsistent, they are going to just be like, your subconscious mind is going to be like, oh, okay. It's literally so literal. They're going to be like, okay, give them more inconsistency. So you're just going to start to see more inconsistency. They get more inconsistent, don't they? That's what happens. So, but the same way that your subconscious mind doesn't have any eyes, it doesn't know that they're not texting you 24/7. They don't know anything. It only knows the story and where your awareness is placed to what it's doing. So if you start telling it a different story and you place your awareness on, oh no, they can't stop texting me, they're obsessed with me, or whatever it is. Well, this is just an example of this. They're not inconsistent, they're consistent. I am always somebody that receives consistent communication. I am chosen. I am all these things. That is your state. You are then changing your self-concept. You're not running after them to say, please text me more. You are changing your state to, I am somebody who is naturally adored and showered in consistent communication. I deserve consistent communication. My efforts are always met. And if you do that, and then you start to be like, oh, of course they're going to text me. Of course they're always communicating with me. Of course they're consistent. Then you will start to see that play out because it's you that goes first. It is your subconscious mind and it doesn't have eyes. So it doesn't matter what. It is literally like you have typed up a story on your laptop right now or your phone, and it is a printer. Your subconscious mind is literally going to print out that in your reality. It's going to print more. For instance, like, if you were manifesting money or you were wanting to attract more money, the more you focus on what you don't have, the lack, the more you get more lack. But when you shift your mindset and you shift your awareness to, oh my God, look at all the abundance around me. I'm so grateful for all the abundance. Suddenly you start getting more abundance. It is the same thing with absolutely everything. Your awareness is your currency. And the more you focus on what you want, you're going to get more of what you want. The problem is that we've been taught to look at our experiences and that people are doing something to us and we just relay the same story. Oh, they're inconsistent. They're not inconsistent. It's just that awareness there. You can shift it at any time. So what she did was amazing, but that is the other layer. If you want to change it, you change your awareness, you change the story, and then it will start to change. And I'm going to share with you an example of this, for instance. So I have a lovely client, and they always didn't feel prioritized growing up, and they had the self-concept of, I'm not somebody that's prioritized. I'm the one that always has to make effort in my relationships, kind of thing. And I think we all have this story. I definitely had this story, but in particular to their story, they had this feeling that like their dad. So this shows that this can be any relationships. It's not romantic. Their dad didn't prioritize them. Their dad didn't make the effort with them. It was always them trying to make the effort with them. So I said, okay, let's change the story. Let's change the state. You are now somebody that is prioritized and people make the effort for you. That is who you are. Start telling that story, start reaffirming that, start changing your beliefs around that, and then start telling the story about your dad, that of course they make effort with you, of course they prioritize you. And I swear to you, within like days, they were like, my dad has started calling me. And literally, they never called them. It was always them calling them and making the effort with them. Then suddenly their dad has started calling them and asking to see them. They saw the change. That is it. They didn't try and force their dad to change it. They simply to start calling more, to start making effort. I mean, they've probably tried to do that in reality so many times, and it doesn't do anything because it's like going to the mirror. Guys, listen to this right now. It's like going to the mirror. You're looking into the mirror and you see a hair is out of place, right? You don't go to the mirror and try and change it on the mirror. You don't try and change the hair on the mirror. You change it within yourself. You move the hair, right? And the mirror changes. It's you that goes first. So you don't need to change them. You don't need to run after them. That's why it actually doesn't work for you in your relationships with an extra attachment style, because you're always the one doing more, giving more, all of that stuff. So you're going to get less because it doesn't work. You're literally trying to force the 3D. You're trying to force other people instead of changing the state within yourself. And that's your anxious attachment style, and it's totally normal. And I've been there and done that. There's nothing wrong with it, but I'm trying to show you actually what actually changes it. So if you've been in the state of, I'm not prioritized, you need to start changing it to, I am always prioritized. Everyone prioritizes me. Everyone chooses me. That is the difference. You start to change that. And then naturally, from changing your state, you will start to see things differently. You'll start to see the perspective differently. And with that, you start to tell the story. No, I'm always a priority. So of course they're going to prioritize me. Of course they're going to choose me. Of course they're always making effort with me. I don't need to worry about that. And you can be a bit delusional for a few moments until things change. It can take a minute for it to change, because there is always a lag in the response of your reality, the response of the experience. So you might experience the old story, you might be affirming, you might be tapping, you might be doing that, and you might be changing it to, I'm prioritized, I'm chosen, but then you get someone in your experience who is part of the old story. That is totally normal. That is a test to see, are you going to stay true to your state of, I'm prioritized and chosen in that moment? It's a test to see. And at that point, if you choose to, then you'll get more of that. Just like the lovely person that DM'd me, that within itself is like a feedback, you know. Are you going to choose yourself, or are you going to try and run after them? And because she chose herself instead, that will get reflected back to her. So in that moment, you are choosing who you are being, and it's who you are being is what is manifesting for you. It's your beliefs and your self-concept that's manifesting, not what you want. That's why you could want £1,000,000 and you're not going to get it, because your state of being is a broke person, or somebody that's in scarcity or lack. Or you want a relationship, you want a healthy relationship, but your state of being is somebody that is anxiously attached, and therefore only attracts avoidance, only attracts emotionally unavailable people, is not worthy of commitment. People don't stay for them, love don't stay. That is your state of being, that's your beliefs, right? So when you're in that state, that's what you're going to get back to you. So that's why you have to change your self-concept first before you can do that. And your self-concept is really just your story and your beliefs about yourself, how you see yourself and how you see it, how other people see you. And when you do that, the outer world will reflect that. So, and you have the power to change that. And a lot of us, we're autopiloting our beliefs and our self-concept from our childhood, which is why, and it's not based on things you actually want, which is why I'm trying to teach you, you have the power to change it. I had to change my self-concept. My self-concept was terrible from a child, like from all the trauma and the neglect and abuse and abandonment I experienced. I had a really bad self-concept. I didn't believe I was prioritized, chosen, all of these things. Okay. Loads and loads. And so I had to be like, okay, I have all of these beliefs about myself, all this self-concept. No wonder my relationships are reflecting this. What do I need to change about myself? And I use the 3D reality, what I experience, how people show up for me, as feedback. I don't look at it now and go, this person is doing this to me, because they're not doing anything to you. It is reflection. It is feedback to you. They are only triggering something inside of you that is already inside of you. And your triggers are your best friends, because you can say, and this is what I do, I go, okay, what do I believe about myself to be true for this to be triggering me? Okay, it's coming up for a reason, because you're ready to shed it. Okay, but only you have the power to shed it. No one else can do it for you. So when it comes up, you have to be like, okay, I believe this about myself. So I need to change that within myself. And I'll give you some examples of how I've had to do that within my 3D. I've had to do it for literally everything, but in particular, not being pursued. Okay. So when I was dating, before I manifested my partner, my fiance now, I was dating some people, and I noticed, like, you know, I was working on my self-concept. So my self-concept had really changed. I was getting secure people, and I was getting, you know, better experiences. But I was still using the 3D experiences and my relationships to figure out what my triggers and my self-concept was to change it. And one way that I realized this is that I had the belief around not being pursued. So, you know, naturally it started off really well. They were pursuing me and, you know, taking me on these lovely dates. But then after a few weeks, it was like I noticed there was less effort coming through. They were less intentional about seeing me and all those things. And I know that happens. And I've worked with so many clients now where that happens, and that's a natural actual attachment style thing, right? And so I started to notice that again. It goes back to that awareness piece, that I was stuck in the awareness of like, they're not asking to see me. They're not taking me out. They're not making the same effort as they were making initially, right? And so I started to put my awareness on this, because I was still new to this work at that time. I was still learning, right? And I slipped into, you know, playing it cool, acting unbothered, doing all those things to make them pursue me again. Like, oh, she's not there. She must be so busy having the best time of her life, pretending, because it wasn't real. I was literally sitting there going, why are they not asking to see me? That's why it doesn't work, because it's not real. It's masked in fear. And that is why these rules that people give you, these dating games, they don't attract what you want. They're not going to give you the experiences you want, because they are masking fear. And you are needing the 3D, you are needing your reality, these people, so anything that's outside of you to give you that validation. And when you are doing that, you are trying to change them, and it would never work. Doing that, it does not change them, because you are coming from somebody. I was coming from somebody that didn't believe I was worthy of being pursued. I didn't believe I was good enough for effort or whatever it was. And that's what I realized. So I had to see that feedback after a little while of trying the games and realizing it wasn't working. I took my hat of everything I teach now and was like, okay, what is this showing me, Candice? And it was showing me that I had story and beliefs around, I'm not worthy of being pursued. I'm not worthy of like that effort lasting. I have to work harder to make it, they lose interest. And I had a story around that they stop pursuing after they get you, and all that kind of thing. And I had that story and I could see it when I was able to be honest with myself. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I can see it in throughout all of my life, right? And my experiences. So what did I do? I got my tools, I got my EFT tapping with my secure method, and I rewired those beliefs. I changed my self-concept to somebody that is, of course, pursued. But I didn't say anything in the 3D. I didn't say anything to them. I didn't text them and be like, oh, you would have asked to see me by now. You haven't asked to take me out. That is what old me would have done, definitely. And if you do that, don't worry, it's normal. But that doesn't change anything, as you know. As you know, it does nothing because you're trying to change them. Instead, you need to change you. You need to change your self-concept. So I didn't say a word to this person. I left it be. I just left it be. I knew that you can't lose anything because everyone is you and everyone is reflecting you and we are all one consciousness. So I wasn't worried about losing this person. I was just focused on me. I was like, I'm pursued, I'm tapping, I'm changing my beliefs, and everything. And they came back fully pursuing me and exactly as I had changed the story. I didn't change them. I didn't even tell them any of this stuff. I just realized that within myself and I changed my self-concept and they naturally reflected that. That is how it really works. Nothing you are doing with trying to change them, nagging them, having conversations, texting them long texts, none of it works. And this is why, because you are needing the validation of changing them for you to be okay. That is incorrect. You must change your state first. You must change your self-concept first, and they will naturally reflect that. It is that simple, but I know that it's very difficult to different to what we know. And even like, even with like the avoidant thing, right? So within that, there's an assumption that these people are avoidant, but I know that in the beginning, they were not avoidant to you. You didn't meet them and go, oh, that person's avoidant. You were like, oh my God, they're so amazing. Really like them, right? And then it wasn't until your attachment kicked in, your beliefs, your nervous system, and then you started to think, maybe something happened and you gave it the meaning of they're avoidant. And then what happens is your awareness goes to they're avoidant, they're avoidant, they're avoidant. But they're not avoidant. It's reflecting your beliefs and what your story is that you're telling yourself. When you change that awareness and you change it to they're secure, they're secure, they're secure, you're going to see evidence of them being secure. And it's not your fault because, society, we've labeled everything like that. And, you might still be in that place of doing that, and that's totally fine. But really, this is what will change that for you. Where if you start to assume that they're not avoidant, they will start to reflect that story too. It is only that you shifted and you started to tell that story. And that's normal because you've probably had experiences where, it's like that. And then people have told you they're avoidant, they're this, they're that. And so it seeps into you. And so it's just data. Everything is data, right? And you're not wrong to keep that story alive or keep creating it because you haven't been told that this is how it happens and you're the one creating it. You're the one, it's just reflecting you. That's why I'm telling you that. But you can change it. You can start to assume something different. They're not avoidant, they're secure. I only attract secure people. It's only because you're in the state of I'm an anxious attachment style and I attract avoidance. You can change it to I am secure and I only attract secure people. And then you're going to see that they're going to start to shift. Your perspective on them is going to start to shift. It's only that we're attaching that meaning and those assumptions that are creating that. And then, even in my relationship now, nothing is perfect. I still use, of course, for the rest of my life, I'm going to use the 3D in my relationships to show me my beliefs about myself. And, for me to be able to speak right now about this stuff that I want to share with the world, but I know that is, different. And I know that can cause, sometimes I get comments that are from people that don't understand what is being said, and that's totally fine. It's going to cause misunderstanding, okay? Sometimes that's going to happen. And for me, I had to work on it is safe to be seen, it's safe to be misunderstood, to be able to be here right now sharing this, knowing that the people that need to hear it and they're ready to hear it, and that's okay. And some people are not going to understand it, and that's also okay. But for me to do that, I had to get over my own fears and my beliefs around it not being safe, and that I'm not seen and I'm not heard. And I had those ones deep rooted, right? Now, when you start to manifest something different, or when you start to have an intention or a goal or whatever it is of, for instance, me sharing this work with you guys and being more visible with it, what the universe, what your subconscious mind will do, it will start to, show you where you're still holding your self-concept and your identity that doesn't align with that version of you that is so seen and is so safe to share their voice and share their opinions and not be or be okay with being misunderstood or criticized or whatever that is and judge. But that's a difficult thing for a lot of people to do, right? Because a lot of us, especially if you have an anxious attachment style, we've been taught from children that, we're not that seen, we're not that heard, our needs don't matter. We should put everyone else first instead of before us, right? To have the relationships we want, the secure relationships, we have to change that within ourselves, or the goal of being seen, or the goal of, whatever it is. You have to change that self-concept within yourself to somebody that is seen and heard, and it's safe for you to do that. So that's what I had to do. And what one way that showed up for me to be able to see that, to look at that and be like, oh my God, I still have this belief, is in my relationship. It definitely happened with family as well, and even friends. I saw it reflected back to me with family and friends. And it got a little bit louder until I was able to be like, oh yeah, this is what this is reflecting. But even in my relationship, I was like, I was perceiving this person is not seeing me and hearing me. And that's not true. But I had that belief that I'm not seen and heard, or that I have to fight to be seen and heard. And when I realized that, I was like, this is my little inner child inside of me who grew up in a very toxic environment where she was not seen and heard, and she had to fight for basic needs. Now, hopefully not everyone has the same example of that, but that was what was happening. I still was carrying the belief that I'm not seen and heard, that I have to fight to be heard, and that is what's coming up when we try and convince them, when we have a need and then we back down a little bit, or we manage their moods and those kind of things. It is coming from that place. So I had to be really real with myself and be like, I still have this belief that is holding me back, not in my relationship, not just in my relationship, but in what I'm doing with you guys now and what I'm sharing with the world. And so I need to change it. So when I did, I was able to look at that journey, look at the reflection, and then get my tapping, my secure method tapping, and to start doing my EFT tapping to neutralize those beliefs. And then when you do that, people start showing up differently. You start perceiving it very differently. And that is what happens. So it's always just a reflection of our inner state and our inner beliefs. And when you realize this, you have so much power to change it, because there is only you to change. As Neville Goddard says, who's like the king of law of assumption, so within, so without. So if you change it in the inside, it's going to reflect on the outside. And that is the key to changing people. You don't need to change people. You need to change yourself, and they will naturally start to change. The relationship will naturally start to change from that. When you look at your relationships now, and maybe an exercise you can do, or maybe look at like your triggers are your best friend. They are showing you what beliefs you have about yourself. So maybe just take one trigger that you have, or maybe one relationship that triggers you a bit, and just kind of sit with yourself, journal with yourself, and ask yourself, what do I believe about myself to be true for this to be triggering me? Because the fact that it's triggering you makes you anxious, makes you any of those things. With certainty, it is because you have a belief there. This person is not doing anything to you. They are just awakening something inside of you that is already there, and they are reflecting that. And when you realize that and you neutralize that belief, that will change. You will stop experiencing that. So what do I believe about myself to be true for this to be triggering me? So be honest with yourself. Is it, I don't believe I'm worthy of people choosing me. I feel like I'm unforgettable. Be honest with yourself. You already have the answers. So just sit with yourself and hear what comes up for you. And then you pick something different. You pick an affirmation that is the opposite of that. Okay. So I am always chosen, or I am unforgettable. Or I used to, one for me was I'm irresistible, irreplaceable and unforgettable. That was like one of mine when I was rewiring my self-concept. Whatever it is, you'd find what works for you. Now, what I will say with this is that sometimes you're going to get a bit of resistance with this because there is a little inner child in you, and there is a survival mechanism, your nervous system, that is trying to keep you safe. So when you have deep-rooted beliefs like I'm not seen, I'm not safe to be seen, and then you start saying I'm seen, I'm seen, I'm seen, your whole body is going to be can sometimes be like resistant to these things. It can be like, oh no, 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 like we don't want that, because it's trying to keep you safe, it's trying to protect you, right? Which is why EFT tapping is what I teach, especially with my method, because it will rewire that so much quickly and so much more safely for you, because EFT tapping literally works on your nervous system and reprogramming your subconscious beliefs all at the same time. So you have a lot less resistance, and that's why you get really fast results. So you can just start to affirm to yourself, like, I am always chosen, I'm always seen, or whatever those things are. But if you want faster results without the resistance, without the anxiety a little bit, then the EFT tapping is amazing for that. And then the third thing to do is you then need to embody it. You need to make decisions from that place. And this is easier to do once you have shifted your self-concept, or once you've done the EFT tapping and you're feeling good, just like the lovely lady that DM'd me. You know, she did the tapping, she did the meditation, she stepped into the state of being secure first for only a week. It didn't take long. And then she was faced with the decision, am I going to choose myself, or am I going to keep doing the same thing over again? She chose herself. So the thing you need to do is embody it. You need to make decisions from that part of you that is choosing themselves, which is exactly what she did. She wasn't trying to make him choose her, which is what we are usually trying to do when we're trying to change people. We're trying to get something from them that we're not giving to ourselves. But the key here is that we must give it to ourselves, and they will reflect that. They will start giving it to you. You know, that's the difference. And so, and then you make decisions from it. And when you do that, every time, you know, you're teaching your nervous system, it's okay. It's safe for us to be chosen. She sent the message to this person. She was teaching herself, it's okay, I'm safe to be chosen, it's okay to expand to this, we can do this, I choose me. And every time you do that, every time you make that decision one step closer, you are literally shifting your whole identity. And within doing that, you are gonna get better experiences to you. But a lot of us are doing this asleep, unconsciously, and we don't realize this is how we're creating it. So we are embodying and making decisions from our fearful ego mind, that our anxious mind, you know, those things, and then we're just creating more of it. So that is the key. You sit with yourself, you ask yourself, what would I believe about myself for this to be triggering me? Get to the root and understand that. Then you start to affirm something else, or you use EFT tapping to rewire it. And then you make decisions from that place. You embody that version of you. I am somebody that's prioritized. What would I do? I would prioritize me. How can I do that right now? I start prioritizing me by this. I say no to this thing that I really want to say yes to. I go and do something that makes me feel good. Whatever it is, you start to do that. And with doing that, you are literally shifting into a new self-concept, a new being, and people will start reflecting that. You will see it will change your life. You know, I really want to support you on this journey. If you have any questions or topics you want me to explain more, then please do send me an email or a DM on Instagram. And if you want, you know, if you want to try any of the EFT, any of the tapping yourself, my masterclasses are a great way to start with this. Stop Attracting Avoidance is the one that the lovely lady did, and within a week is already experiencing the amazing shifts. The same with Stop Them Pulling Away. Whatever it is, there is so many different ways to start doing this work. The greatest thing that I want you to take away from this is that you are so in power, and when you change your internal state, it is going to reflect out, and that is amazing. You do not need to beg or chase or pull someone or push them along or whatever it is anymore. You have the power to change it, and this is what I'm trying to show you. Everything I teach whether it's in my signature program or my masterclasses or anywhere. It is all teaching you to rewire this from the inside, and that is why it gets these insane results. So if you've enjoyed this episode and you're enjoying this podcast, please, wherever you are, please rate it. It just helps other people to find it, and it would really mean the world to me. And I will look forward to seeing you on the next episode.